What's up,
Live?
YouTube? I'm recording right now. Don't worry. What's up, YouTube? It's corrupted here, and today I'm gonna talk about Fnaf with my homeboy Fox, aka Endo Bendo.
It's me, bro.
Go ahead, say go. No. I know you want to plug your YouTube channel. Go ahead, plug your YouTube channel.
Bro, I'm not plugging nothing. I'm not plugging
Come
nothing.
on, come on. Hey,
Hey, go
listen.
subscribe to my YouTube. It's Foxy. I record, gameplay. It's kind of tough.
He also
Kind
streams.
of tough.
Don't leave that out. You stream. You stream.
Okay, okay.
He streams a
Let's
lot
see.
of good content, so I recommend you guys go follow him. He is a very, very cool guy when it comes to gameplays and everything else in between.
Is this
I don't
Glaze?
have- No, it's not Glaze. It's my own opinion. I can have whatever I want most of the time. Maybe a camera. Sorry guys, this is my first time actually doing like a kind of interview type thing. Yes, I know we're on floating chairs. Listen, we don't have the proper budget today. I'm sorry. But anyway,
You could say that. The budget's
but
ruined.
see what you did there. But anyway, the main topic is, since you know where we're at right now. The main topic is what made FNAF, and why is it at a sort of middle up decline when it comes to the series. And we're gonna be talking about the pros, the cons, everything that made FNAF. So, you want to start off?
So, I think with this newest installment into the series, Secret of the Mimic, it's a great game. I'm still playing through it technically, but I've been watching playthroughs about it. It's a really good game. It captures the horror aspect extremely well. The chase with Jackie, after you open like the stuff and you go through the elevator, they chase you through the corridors that are very slim. It's scary. You can see the arm stretch past you. That was a really good element in Secret of the Mimic, and that's kind of what I wanted to see more in like some other games. Okay, let's bring up Security Breach. Security Breach was kind of a failed project.
All right.
It just
Let me stop.
there was,
Let me stop you right there. Now, I'm not saying anything that you're saying is bad, because as someone who played Secret of the Mimic day one release, because family, they allowed me to get it, and if I actually got it on my birthday and with Jackie saying happy birthday, I would have genuinely been surprised. Like Jackie saying happy birthday to me, I would have been surprised, because that would have been a birthday gift to me. Now, what you're saying is completely true. The Jackie chase, magnifique. I just wish, instead of doing like what they did with Puppy Playtime and like Pianosaurus, instead of making them like promotional art, give them like more screen time and more filler. Not filler, but give them more screen time to show what they wanted to do. Because if Jackie were to show like his or her true potential, Jackie would have been the #1 villain every single day in the entire FNAF thing. And in Security Breach, sorry, my fault. Security Breach, it has its pros and cons, but I'm gonna let you take back over. Go ahead.
So what you were saying about Jackie, I totally agree. She's on all of the promotional art. She's the cover of the game. I mean, literally the cover of the game, and we get to see maybe like 5 minutes of her.
And that's what makes That's what makes it.
It's just.
No, that's just it. That's what just makes it iffy.
Yeah, but it's just, such a good character. So scary, the I found you part, where she destroys the Digityper and throws it at the wall, out of bounds. All of her, like, voice lines was very creepy. The reaching past you, it really made you feel, like, on ease. And it's just a really good chase overall.
Very much. But I forgot to make my fault, audience at home. I forgot to lock myself in place. That is a failure on my fault. I apologize. But yes, I see exactly what you're saying. The Jackie chase was perfect on its own. But headset's lagging. This place is a little buggy, but it's whatever. We can power through it, and I can edit the video. I could say sorry for the lags and stuff like that. But about the chase and stuff, would you say in Ruin with the Mimic chase, Would you say the Mimic Chase in Ruin is better than the Jackie Chase in Secret of the Mimic?
No, I think Jackie is much better than the Mimic Chase. Because
Okay.
I understand the point of the Mimic Chase, but it felt really just thrown in at last minute. It felt like they were just trying to add a new character, a new, antagonist at the last moment with the Mimic, replacing, William at retconning the security breach, where Burn Trap's actually the Mimic. Just a whole retcon. It was out of place, underdeveloped, and I like the teaser with Secret of the Mimic and with the costumes. That was neat. But that whole area down there is kind of just fan service. We get to see parts of Fnaf 6, Candy Cadet. It's kind of all over the place. That's why I like Help 1 and 2, because it kind of filled in the gaps and kind of helped us understand. And the books also help with the Mimic. But Mimic was there just last second.
And I have to agree with you on that, because after playing through the game, not only finding Bonnie, getting hints towards Foxy, and so on and so forth, because Foxy and Bonnie were a huge where were they at? Because they were huge pioneers along with Freddy and Chica. They built up FNAF to what it was today, including MatPat. MatPat was there, but we're gonna be talking about him in a different part. But everyone's big question about Security Breach was, where was Bonnie? Like, we saw Bonnie Bowl, and we got references to Foxy, like Captain Foxy's Pirate Adventures and the statues, but we didn't get to the Log Ride 2 and Ruin, but we didn't get to really see Foxy in all his glory. We got Foxy plushies, and we got like the Foxy, statue, and a very, very subtle detail. And I really hope you guys played through the game. If you played through the game and like you went to Roxy Raceway and looked real close, you should see something called Sushi Fox. Now that has to deal with Foxy. That's my own personal theory, though.
I think it could also be a callback to Foxy and UCN, with it being the whole anime kind of samurai vibe.
I never
Could be a
thought
callback
of
to that as well.
I never thought of that. That makes a whole lot. That brings up a very, very good point. But then again, that was representing Henry and William and their divide. Because remember,
Yeah,
Henry was the bear trying to fix everything, but Foxy the Fox, aka William, was the thing that's trying to tear everything down.
hmm With the UCN being like the internal hell of what William Afton is. So when I'm saying this, I think that them getting rid of, William as a antagonist wasn't a bad thing. It was just not done well, because they expected people to read the books. They expected average fans, newcoming fans, to just know all this knowledge. I feel like they should have just implemented it more. The security breach, there should have been more reference toward the Mimic, and
Definitely.
instead of just fully retconning it.
That is a huge.
Pretty much, that's just my take on that.
My fault for accidentally cutting you off a few times. I apologize. But
Good
you
luck.
have. I accidentally cut you off a few times. I humbly apologize. Hey,
I don't think you
audience,
did.
listen. This is my first time. Podcast talkers where they talk about stuff like that. And I have like a camera there so they can see both audience or see both people talking about stuff. But I was trying to say, yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off a few times. But don't worry, he can be here too. Unless he can talk about Fnaf stuff. Hey, you want to join us in this Fnaf podcast we're doing?
I guess. I mean, I don't got nothing else to do.
But we just talking. Go ahead, sit down. We're talking about what made Fnaf good, and what made Fnaf good, great, and what was like the pros and cons of the entire series at whole. And if anything, we can move over there since table, like, yeah, we can move over there if it makes it better.
No, I don't mind.
So
I'm
we can
chilling
move-
here, homeboy.
So we can move over there.
Wherever you want to go, dude. I don't mind sitting here.
So, yeah. I was apologizing to you for accidentally cutting you off a few times. That was a mistake on my part. But what I was originally saying was, I was originally saying that you were right. The Mimic Chase did seem a little convoluted after 3-4 hours of playing the Ruin DLC, even though it was like a 2-hour DLC filled with content and stuff. And now, yes, it did give us like Bonnie and Fred. It gave us Bonnie, Foxy, or more hints towards Foxy being an actual Glamrock there, and that Freddy did get replaced with some type of prototype. We don't know how all this happened. We don't know how this worked. It just came out the blue.
I could agree with that.
Now,
So
sorry, go ahead. No.
That's my fault. That's the homeboy.
So what I was originally gonna say is, how was a prototype Freddy built in the span of time if the pizza place was burning and somehow got destroyed, and how did Vanny somehow get free? Now, this is my hot take. It happened over different days or different nights. Gregory, he went to, him and Freddy, they went to the Fazer Blast, and they freed Vanessa. That's what happened. They freed Vanessa, so on and so forth happened. Stuff happened. Vanessa got freed, went home. Then, they went into the basement and was like, alright, what we're gonna do is, we're going to figure out what's down here, and so on and so forth. But this brings up a question. Unless the fire was controlled and blocked by all the debris and rubble, so Freddy could get up there and so Gregory could free Vanny from the stuff, or free Vanessa from the stuff, and then boom, she'd be free. And then the fire just outbroke like that, and that's how we got the prototype Freddy thing, and so on and so forth. That's how my mind puts it, but I'm like, that doesn't really make much sense. I mean, I understand they said 2 out of the 5 endings were canon, but what I say is they should be more clear when it comes to stuff like that, because then you're leaving a whole lot of plot holes opening, why was prototype Freddy there, and who was this prototype Freddy, and why didn't the original for Glamrock Freddy have this prototype thing slapped on his foot?
So my whole take on Security Breach, the canon ending would probably be the Vanessa where you free her after playing Princess Quest 3, just because that makes the most logical sense with me, because of, you see Freddy get destroyed and all that pretty much. So how I'm looking at it is, in that ending we see Freddy's head, because it's just Freddy, it's just his head. So what I'm saying is they probably took Freddy's body and they tried to work on it, and something probably went wrong, so they just stamped a prototype onto it. Maybe it was a come back to it later kind of thing.
And then makes sense.
Ruin, I look at Ruin as there wasn't a fire, because there's no fire damage on the building. The only damages to the building I can see is structural, and it's not fire. It looks like
integral?
Yeah, kind of. But there's still some power in the building, so the building's not completely gone. So I don't think it was an electrical fire, because the electrical fire would have wiped the whole thing out. So how I look at it is the blob, probably after Security Breach, tried to tunnel its way out. And it's kind of blurry, but because we do see the blob return in Ruin. But we see how the building's all destroyed, has these big sinkholes. So what I'm thinking is the blob tried to come out of the sinkhole perchance, caved through and dug through, because in Ruin we walked through a little tunnel created by the blob, it looks like. So I'm just guessing that maybe it created more sinkholes, causing more damage and causing the building to fall inwards.
That actually makes a lot of sense, and that actually connects with real life, because all these abandoned buildings, they somehow miraculously still have power to them, and they somehow collapse in on itself due to the structural integrity not being as strong as we originally, had in mind. And that makes a whole lot more sense with how, stuff went awry. And that's why we could see Freddy glitching out on stage. It's not due to him oh crap, I'm seeing this kid again, and we gotta go fix it, or I gotta go, save him or something. Because everyone thought, and this is my own thought, Michael Afton, and he became what he shouldn't have. He became his brother in a way. Because remember, we all say Chris or Cece or Evan or Dave possessed Golden Freddy or Fredbear. And Michael, for years, resented on that. He's like, I shouldn't have done that. I killed my brother. I'm gonna try to set the souls free. And why? He ended up setting the souls free, but in turn, his soul got put in the Glamrock Freddy. We don't know how that happened. We could say it was his AI running amok.
It's completely possible, but how much evidence we've gotten from Stillwell Studios, it's very lackluster. Like, it doesn't really make sense how Gregory was down where the Mimic was being held, because we see his backpack, unless, that he ended up getting a hold of it. It's just, there's a lot of really blank parts that just don't line up. You could probably make your own theories on it, but we just don't have the evidence to really connect the dots.
Like, if Steel will just give us a little more details, a little more hints, we'll be good. Now, I'm not saying Security Breach was all bad, because it was iffy. The first time it came out, there was a few bugs, few glitches, and everyone hated it. Some people didn't like it, other people didn't. The main reason why I got it is because, one, I saw Corey Extension play it, a very cool YouTuber, and then Markiplier, then Jacksepticeye, but mainly it was Corey. And then my dad said, this game came out already on PlayStation. You could have put it on your Christmas list. And I'm like, oh crap, I didn't know that. And so I played it for a while, and I'm like, oh crap, this game is actually really good. It's well balanced, nothing bad's happening, and it's a very cool place. I mean, it's a very cool switch from the dark, gloomy pizzeria that we've known in 2014.
I think the Security Breach is very visually pleasing. The bright lights, the neon colors, the, contrast. It's a really pretty looking game. There's just a lot of, plot holes. Just a lot of, misconception. A whole bunch of stuff that could have done better. And that's just mainly because of Sony's deadlines, the miscommunication between Scott and Stillwell, and Stillwell being mainly a VR company. Yeah, that worked on Help Wanted 1. Help Wanted 1 is a beautiful game. Really fun. Very scary. So, he put a mainly, VR company on a big project, big loading times, big areas, fleshed out, lighting, all this stuff, for completely free roam, and it was probably a lot on Stillwell, especially with the deadlines of Sony, and just everything on top of it, them having to go back, scrap things, go back, rebuild, scrap, just building things up and then taking them down. Doing that over and over and over left a lot of plot holes. Like with Bonnie, I would have wished that we would have gotten a little bit more info, because the most we got in that was a few, I think, messages, little message baggies, and then we got the, Freddy, the I still miss him, blah blah blah. And pretty much that it. And then the, there's not a rabbit here anymore, blah blah blah. That was basically it. 4 different things that we could, well, technically only 3. The message, the 2 voice lines. So 3. Just 3 things that made us kind of think about Bonnie, but there's no proof, there is no, it would have been cool if in Monty's room, with how he claws up the walls, we would have been able to see, Bonnie wallpaper behind it, with his scratch marks, with them peeling back, and you can see stuff. It doesn't really make sense how quickly they just covered up Bonnie, and, everything in this place was just wiped of it. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense.
And I agree with you on that. I would say this, Security Breach Rockstar Row, completely cool. I like it. I like how they have the callbacks, FNAF 2, FNAF 4, FNAF 1, everything about it, and then, especially the show stage. It's perfect. And I wish in when Monty's part is what you said before. I wish if you looked up, you could see Bonnie's ears like from like the sign. Like they didn't want to just change. Like they changed the sign. They didn't want to like move Bonnie's ears, cause stuff would have happened. And the company said, you move those ears, there's probably going to be a power outage or a power shortage that's going to probably put the business out for at least a few days. Because we all know fast food entertainment, it's cheap, stingy, but also it's like one of the only things besides a few other restaurants that really can't match up to the integrity and the place of Freddy Fazbear's Make a Pizzaplex.
And adding on to that, that's what I was going to say is there's just a whole bunch of plot points in this. It's just super confusing. Like, with how they did in Ruin with the Bonnie neon sign where it, electrocutes Monty, he gets payback or whatever. I think if they were to have some Bonnie merchandise behind one of the gates that you need either Chica's voice box or Monty's claws for, would have been beautiful. That would have been great. Like, they had a bunch of those plushies, because there's plushie rooms. If they had Bonnie in there, some memorabilia of him, it would have made more sense. And then talking about the memorabilia from Rockstar Row, I either think that it was fan service, so fans can call back to it, or it was, connecting Help Wanted 1 to Security Breach. Because in the game, it's obviously playing through the rumors, which is the true events. And they're just basically rumors of the stuff, and maybe that's just like a fun callback to the Help Wanted 1, and not actually to all the old games. Or maybe a little bit of both.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what would, if you were in the creative director's head chair of Security Breach, what would you have changed and why, besides adding more Bonnie details and adding more lore to give Bonnie more light instead of slapping a random gator in and then giving Foxy some more spotlight rather than giving him a kid's cove and like subtle like hints and like stuff?
I feel like Foxy, he was only really teased in there just for the hell of it. I think Roxy was a great replacement. This is a little bit different on what you were talking about, but just how much character development Roxy had gotten in Ruin, I wish Monty and Chica got the same kind of treatment, because they're still seen as... I mean, Chica is a little bit more sad because she can't stop herself. Monty is just angry. He is just upset. There is nothing else to his character. But what would I change about Security Breach? I would definitely make there be probably a night system. Different nights, different salvages, or destructions, whatever you want to call it. And just different objectives. And then I would probably put like power outages. Kind of like how the Moon one was. But instead you have to fight them off every one of the nights. Like, it'll go dark, and instead of that weird gloomy effect on your screen, it would just be dark. There'd be a few neon signs on, kind of like the start of Ruin, with that one neon sign. Just a darkness where you just get the flashlight. There's a few like cheap scares, but you just have to fight off against Moon and get to either Rockstar Row or just survive the section would be really neat. I think power outage is kind of needed, just with the big bright thing. It just doesn't make sense for such a big building to have all these lights on all the time, because the light bill would be absolutely treacherous.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And in your version of Security Breach, would you say during the day they would have to memorize the map as best as possible? Because as soon as nighttime comes, like the building would be completely shut off besides a few neon lights and etc. Like oh crap, I need to remember this, and giving them like that sense of, oh, if I don't remember this place, I'm gonna be freaking cooked.
I think what I could put in is, during the night sequence, it would get rid of your objectives. You would have to remember that, because it's a logical test, making you having to remember something, which is going to be tricky and challenging, which is something that Security Breach was sort of with the person service. That was a good mini game. I enjoyed that, because that was slightly difficult, kind of eerie. And then the endos as well, that was the scary sections. I wish the endos were a little bit more used than just weeping angels.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. So with Security Breach, obviously being way past gone, only being 4 years old and being a major like okay within the
Six,
series.
seven.
No, none of that. With Security Breach being only 4 years old because it came out in December of 2021, would you have, with Security Breach, as I already said, being 4 years old, so on and so forth, instead of saying, hey, we're gonna, like, are you gonna do what the Sonic movie did? And like, alright, we're gonna delay it till March or January, or not January, March or February or May or July to fix out everything to make the game as best as possible?
I think that pushing it back to January, February, or March just would not be enough time. 3 months isn't enough to just fully rewrite a part of the game. I think July, they could have gotten a decent amount of stuff done. But I think with how many, like, guardrails, how many resets they had to do, the game isn't terrible. And say it's not a bad game at all.
And I get you. The game is okay. Like with the, like, you get so attached to building and attached to so many of the characters. It's like there's like your home away from home. Like you've spent so much time in this pizzaplex, seeing every aspect, going to every wall, looking at every wall, trying to just see everything, and then looking at the maps, seeing where you needed to go to get certain things, and especially if you're trying to 100% the game, which I have done on my PlayStation 5. I have 100%ed the game, and I'll say this, it is not very hard, but if you don't get certain gifts when you get them, when you get them in that certain time period, like in the daycare, no one knew that you had to get a secret flashlight upgrade in the play area until you had to go back. Now, there is a bug to get back into daycare where you have to have Freddy in the daycare and you have to like get Freddy and have to like move your joystick up and down to kind of like see where the seat is, then get in, and then boom, you're in the daycare and you can get that upgrade. But now that like different patches are out of the game and like you can't really do the same glitch anymore, I haven't played it in a while. I'm pretty sure they patched that glitch to the point where you can't get in anymore, so you have to do it first try, no mercy, like regardless of how bad you feel for Son and pushing him away. Like you gotta be like, let me get this achievement, let me get this magnet, or no, that's not a magnet, a flashlight upgrade, and get on my merry way. Would you say that's like a bit of a thing that's going on with like FNAF games? You gotta go back and constantly do the game over and over and over again till you complete it?
I would say that you have to at least play through one other time. Because with what you're saying, I don't like how they have certain gifts blocked behind certain areas that you cannot get later on. Because that just causes a bunch of intervals and a lot of issues. And then, speaking on Secret the Mimic, for one of the endings, you have to play fully back to the game, which is kind of annoying. I understand the reasoning, but it's just kind of annoying to play back to the game just because you need one gift, which is the Tiger Rock plushie, to do the ending where you reset the Mimic to David. It's really tedious and really annoying. It seems very cheap of them to do. So.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I get it. Now, enough of all the modern FNAF games. No, we're not going to be talking about Pizzeria Simulator. No, actually, no, we'll be talking about Pizzeria Simulator because that's technically a pioneer towards Security Breach. We're not going to be talking about Secret of the Mimic, Security Breach, Help Wanted 2. No FNAF games that came out like when Scott wasn't in the chair. We're going to go back to FNAF 1 to Pizzeria Simulator, where we probably will be including AR in that, considering AR kind of helped out towards the development of Security Breach.
The thing with FNAF AR is it was just a pay-to-win kind of game. Like, there were so many scrap lores. If you go into the files and the cut stuff, you could see all of the cut messages you're supposed to get from Vanessa, her ordering supplies. Really cool stuff. But they were just so money hungry and such a cash grab that it just failed in. It fell in on them. So that greediness kind of just led them to, you know, their own defeat. And I think Illuminex is they're kind of cool. But with their cheap reskins causing merch shitty reskins, it kind of just snowball affected into a annoying era of FNAF, a cash grab era. Like the cash cow, pretty much. And that kind of just kind of sent it down a slight hill for a little bit until FNAF AR shut down. But then Funko started making the figures, their own OCs, just kind of really started polluting the FNAF franchise. Because all these characters were original, they weren't reskins. Like, let's take FNAF 1 Freddy to FNAF 2 Withered Freddy. Completely different models. Scott, realistically, if he wanted to, he could have just thrown some scratch marks, like destruction, and peeking through on FNAF 1 Freddy, and people would have been competent. But he didn't. He made completely new models, completely new stuff, a really cool gameplay mechanic. It was really unique for the time. That's probably why FNAF took off the way it did.
You're right. And with AR was a good game while it was. Yes, it was buggy. It wasn't a good game nor a great game. It was a okay game at best when it actually loaded. And like the whole you can see your neighborhood thing, and like you had to send the animatronics out, you can definitely get a few scares out of your siblings with saying, "Oh crap, Bonnie's close to our location, sis, go hide in the closet," and so on and so forth. Your sister would be cowering in her boots, and then she'd tell your mom like, "Hey mom, a giant metallic rabbit's coming towards the house, and we don't know what to do." And then your mom would give you that stare like, "Really, kid? Really, you had to do this?" Like it was funny. Well, it was there, but now we got like all these custom reskins. And what you said before with Scott, he could have just slapped scars on Freddy and made, Withered Freddy, Fnaf 1 Freddy. He really could have done that, but as you said before, he didn't because, he wanted it to feel brand new and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna... Sorry, go ahead, my fault. I apologize.
That's you, because I'm still kind of generating thought.
Oh, okay. Well... Let's talk about FNAF 1, the original, the precursor to this entire series. And we're going to compare FNAF 1 to the movie. Now, I said we weren't going to be talking about modern FNAF, but FNAF 1 is still technically the FNAF movie. You'll see you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm. With the FNAF 1 movie, with the, FNAF 1 game, there's just so many missing parts, so many changes. It looks like it's taking more from the books for the movie than the games, because the office was completely reworked. It was a simple office. It was more realistic for a pizza place. The pizzeria itself was more realistic. The animatronics were more realistic. Foxy had actual meaning with his tough burning and their whole behind the scenes. That was kind of neat. Vanessa Shelley being William Afton's daughter, kind of confusing, especially with security breach being a thing. And then there was Mike Schmidt, and then his brother, it was Abby. It was just very
go back to saying what you were saying.
So what I was saying is, with the original games, they were just a lot scarier. They just had secret characters, deeper lore. I feel like Scott actually built and baked the lore himself instead of just letting fan service take place and just take control. I think the reason why I'm saying that the movie is mostly based off the books is because we see one of the book characters, I always forget their name, but the Springlock animatronic that Chica tries to put Abby into is from the books and is never mentioned in FNAF 1. So except for the movie. It just seems more based on the books than just the game.
So you mean Dolly, like the doll, the one that Charlotte always held and the one that always put her... Hey guys, Editor Corin here. When I was doing research for the podcast, I realized that the doll that was shown in the movie was actually, yes, from the books. I knew it was from the books, but it was more of an alarm clock in the books than it was shown as a suit in the movie. I thought it was a doll that Charlotte had, considering that Charlotte was a main plot point and the main character in the books. So that was a bit of a whoopsie daisy on my part. Sorry about that. I'm not going to try to take up any more of your time because I know you're busy. So I hope everyone here has a great Christmas and a great day going on overall, and an even greater tomorrow. With that, I am out and I got more stuff to do. Bye-bye, everyone. They like kind of sleep besides the music box and stuff. Because Charlotte from the games and the books are two completely different characters in two completely different text brackets completely.
What I was mentioning was the character that Chica in the FNAF 1 movie tries to put Abby into. It was a doll-looking character, but it definitely wasn't Dolly. She had a different name, and it was just kind of out there. It would have been made more sense if it was like, I don't know, like maybe a Fredbear Springlock suit. But if Fredbear is going Freddy, then they're gonna do that. So it's just very confusing.
It makes a lot more sense. So now, would you say the FNAF 1 pizzeria from the games would be an actual pizzeria in real life, or would the pizzeria from the FNAF movie would be an actual pizzeria in real life? Now, we both know the answer is an actual no, due to Scott saying, yeah, we can't allow that to happen because people will try to recreate the events that actually happened in the game. But if Scott were to drop that, which would be the better pizzeria design choice?
Realistically, it'd be the FNAF 1 movie one, because there's not as many safety hazards, there's an actual, like, food, there's an actual kitchen, because we don't see much of the kitchen FNAF 1, and also FNAF 1, the game, has these big shutter doors that slide down and are violent and loud, and are just really unrealistic for a realistic, like, actual office. Like, I think that's why I think the FNAF 1 movie takes more from the books and more realism than the game.
Okay. Now, who in the entire FNAF movie had the best performance?
I would probably have to say, that's actually kind of a tough question. I'd probably say Josh Hutcherson, aka Michael Schmidt, just because he had a deeper meaning, a deeper backstory with his brother being gone and then becoming a security guard, losing that job, and then becoming a overnight security guard. It made sense. I feel like it fit his character. And then probably second, it would have to be, Matthew Lillard with his, his outstanding performance as the Yellow Rabbit. He was scary. He was, violent. He was everything he needed to be. When I say violent, I'm gonna say because he stabbed his own daughter. He literally stabbed his own daughter, like, with hardly any issue. I mean, there's some regret on his face, but otherwise than that, he didn't have much regret.
Okay, fair enough. Now, which animatronic is your favorite in your opinion? Now, I can see you're wearing Indo 01, if I'm correct, from FNAF 1. So, and that one was
the Help Wanted.
Help Wanted? Okay, so technically it is from FNAF 1. Help Wanted is still technically FNAF 1, 2, and 3 combined into one with FNAF 4 aspects. But since it's the blue-eyed one, was your favorite character Freddy out of the entire FNAF 1 game?
Not really. Funny enough, I think Endo 01 would probably be my favorite character. Funny enough. But second place for FNAF 1 would probably have to be either Foxy or Freddy, just with their... I just really like Freddy's, him creeping up on you. His really horror aspect was really neat.
Okay. So, would you say the Toryadon or Toryad something March had
Toryadon March.
So I said right. Okay, the Toryadon March. Do you say that would have a huge aspect when it hit the airwaves in 2014 when the powers went out, and then ever since that day, and whenever anyone hears it, they immediately think, "Oh crap, that's Freddy Fazbear."
I think it's definitely iconic, and it definitely helped build some of what FNAF is. Because when you hear it, you always think of Freddy Fazbear, or you think of some kind of musical performance you've seen in the past, because it's a very popular song. But I definitely think that it's mostly known for, Five Nights at Freddy's. And it's very scary. because it's a music box in the pitch dark, and you see the flashing light of Freddy. It's definitely very eerie and captures the horror aspect well.
Okay, fair enough. So, which animatronic had the best overall design from the games towards the movies?
I think that that's kind of tricky. I think that the FNAF movie, because they were definitely a lot more effort to put together, they were a lot more fleshed out than the FNAF 1. The Yellow Rabbit, which wasn't in FNAF 1, was a nice addition, and I mean the costume looked great. Probably the movie, just with its overhaul of the characters, they're more fleshed out, they're more interesting. Just they are deeper than the FNAF 1 game animatronics.
Okay. Now, moving on from FNAF 1 to FNAF 2, we're going to be talking about the FNAF 2 game and the FNAF 2 movie. Now, let's go over the pros of FNAF 2. FNAF 2, a bigger game, 11 animatronics, an office with no doors, only lights, a music box you have to worry about. On top of that, secret mini games and custom night challenges, if I'm correct.
Definitely. I think that FNAF 2 was just definitely a more deeper game. It had a darker, overall sense. The destroyed animatronics pursuing you in the later nights. And then there's the toys, which are brand new, teched out, completely brand spanking new, clean, just high-tech worthy animatronics that are also pursuing you, but earlier in the nights, it was definitely creepy when you read about when you listen to the phone calls and you think about, like, what he's actually talking about with their criminal sensors and just everything about it, really.
Now, with those criminal sensors, do you think someone intentionally damaged those criminal detection sensors to potentially slip by them at all cost?
I think it's possible that William, tampered with them, but I also think it's possible that they were just cheap safety mechanisms, and because we know that Fazbear Entertainment is cheap, they like saving money. So realistically,
security breach. Sorry,
no, they were definitely very cheap in security breach. Everything was a cash grab. But definitely, yeah, I think that the second game was definitely more scary. But with the animatronic security stuff, I think either William, I'm just gonna say what I said again, but the William either damaged him so he could get away with the murders, because technically FNAF 2 takes place before FNAF 1. Technically. So, like, the animatronics were probably tampered by William so he could kill more. And then there was obviously the, just cheap tech. They just didn't spend any money on it.
Alright. Now, what would you say is the biggest flaws out of the entire FNAF 2 game? Now, allow me to start. I will say the game was a lot more I wouldn't say maybe it was more RNG based, but it was more like you gotta know what was happening at every time, and it took so much stress on everyone's mental, oh crap, they're doing this, doing that, and on top of that, it would always bug out and you couldn't really do much about it. And you would be at 5 a.m. and then the game would close on you and it would not open up, and then you would open up the game and it just be a whole lot more buggy than it was beforehand.
So, its biggest flaws is its the gameplay cycle. It's always the same. It's always worry about the music box, worry about Foxy, worry about Balloon Boy, and then put the mask on every once in a while. I think that the scrap toxicity meter was really good, because it made the game a lot more intense, a lot more skill focused and less RNG. But then there's also, with how many characters there was, it kind of felt like the pre-coming of fucking UCN. That's what it really felt like to me when you look at it in retrospect, with how many characters, the custom night. It was just basically a lot bigger and a lot more stressful.
You're right. And would you say that the FNAF games correlate to the night systems in each game? Because it starts with night one, like FNAF 1, FNAF 2, then like night 1, night 2, then FNAF 3, FNAF 4, night 5, then like FNAF 6, then a 7th night, and then a custom night, and then we also got a ultimate custom night. And when you put them all side by side with each other and with the days of the week, Matt Pat made a great point saying that it's literally the gameplay matches up with the night gameplay within the games. And I'm like, that actually makes a little sense, considering, you know, it's a little funny gag, because it's six games, no, seven games with 7 nights, with the 7th night being the custom night.
I think that's possible, but also it could just be Scott like wanting to add more to the games, just wanting the games to be slightly more fleshed out with more replayability.
Okay. So, what would you say is the best not the best cons, the best pros of the FNAF movie? The FNAF 2 movie?
The second one, yes. It was definitely very scary. There was a lot of scary jump scares. The animatronics looked great. Jim Henson's Creature Shop, great at what they do. It was very scary. I think that the characters were definitely focused on deeper than the FNAF 1 ones were. But the biggest, like, pro would be how they took it from the game. The Office makes a little bit more sense in the 2, and so when they pulled that over and they actually had gameplay, like things with him putting the mask on, it was really cool. It made it like it was an actual callback to the game, which was nice, with the FNAF 1 movie not really having too many callbacks except the characters.
Alright, now out of that entire movie, who had the best performance? Now, we all know people are gonna say Megan Fox as Toy Chica. Now, she did do a stellar job as Toy Chica. I'm not gonna say she did, like, oh my gosh, she's the top one out of the entire FNAF 2 movie, and she did a excellent job. Like, she did do a good job as Toy Chica. I'll give credit when credit is due. She did a good job as Toy Chica. But I would say Kellen Goff did an amazing job as a more sinister version of Toy Freddy, because we all know Toy Freddy is the fat, the fat bear who loves playing video games at the end of the day. This one was like, oh no, I'm gonna bite your head off because you left me to die.
It was definitely a lot more darker and more grim in the movie, which was kind of refreshing to see how they took a funny, more non-serious character and basically rewrote him as a scarier, more violent thing. And then adding on to more just about what you said, who I think had the best performance was probably, I think, Mike Schmidt actually was a lot worse in this movie. He never let people finish their sentences. He always cut off Vanessa saying, "Stay away from me, it's your fault," and not listening to her really just caused a lot of annoyance with me. It didn't let her talk, nothing. Her ideas were good. And then the best performance would probably be Charlie. I don't know who plays her, but they did a really good job with Charlie and the possessing. It was scary, it was different. It was quite literally, the puppet was puppeting people. And it was definitely a whole brand new twist. It was just refreshing to see something new.
Now, would you say on your first watch in the FNAF movie, if you knew more about the games than you do about the books, the FNAF 2 movie, FNAF 2, don't worry. If you watched the FNAF 2 movie and you read like the books and like versus playing the games, do you think you would have a more harder time understanding the plot of the movie if you played the games and then went to watch the movie rather than reading the books and then going to watch the movie?
I think there would definitely be some bits and pieces that were harder to understand, especially with Vanessa Shelley. Just a bunch of different plot points kind of just, picking parts out that are different. So I'd say if you just played only the games, there's definitely quite a bit you'd understand, especially with the references to UCN's voice lines that I don't hate you, but you can stand in my way. Just kind of, if you played UCN and Fnaf 2, you'd probably get a few catchphrases in there. So I don't think it's terrible if you just played the games, but I think catching up on the book knowledge would definitely just help flesh things out.
I respect it. I respect their decisions with that. Now, I watched the FNAF 2 movie on opening night with my family. Got completely surprised with it. Me and my dad and my brother watched it. And watching it for the first time, I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought, like, oh my gosh, this movie was buns, left us on a cliffhanger, doing this, doing that. Then I rewatched it, and I'm like, you know, the movie isn't half bad. I shouldn't have said it was trash. Maybe it's because I was in my feelings. And I was like, what the frick was going on? And I was more trying to make my dad, like, happy about seeing the movie, rather than like, oh crap, like the movie is actually happening and so on and so forth. Now, like, I get it from where my dad's coming from, like, why is a kid riding out at night to some random desolate pizzeria that they're probably gonna get some type of disease from? Now, I get it coming from my dad's standpoint, but coming from, like, a kid who, got scared of FNAF, got haunted for a few years, found and he said it was just dead kids, and then realized, oh crap, I'm just being haunted by dead kids, and then realized, oh crap, it's just a game, and then simultaneously being a huge fan and advocate towards the fandom and buying all the plushies, well, most of the plushies, and getting every single game and wanting every single book.
I think that the movie just felt really kind of sort of fan service-ish, with them bringing back, spoiler, the FNAF 1 animatronics for the last little battle scene where they have Michael as evil. They play him down as evil and violent, and then they completely have the puppet also as violent and evil. It just very mischaracterization, I feel like. But I did see a theory online about Michael being possessed or taken over by Ennard at the time. There's not a lot of proof, but it's just kind of a theory out there, or just skeptical about it. And then that's just, I mean, it kind of makes sense, or it kind of doesn't.
All right. Now, with the introduction of Circus Baby into the movie franchise, would you say we're gonna get a callback to Sister Location? Because we all knew Sister Location happened before the events of FNAF 2, and it happened during the events of FNAF 1.
I think realistically that FNAF 5 might be a spin-off show or a spin-off movie if the third one and the fourth perchance movie, because they have a three-way deal, so we're gonna get the third one if, like, kind of no matter what. But if the third one does as well as they have been doing so far, breaking the stock market, I think it's potential that we can get up to FNAF 6 in the movies.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because most series, like other games, like Undertale, Benny and the Ink Machine, Hello Neighbor, Baldi's Basics, they really could have their own series. Like, for Undertale, basic plot, first route, first season, pacifist, next route, neutral, and third route, genocide. And then you can have a spin-off series with that being Deltarune. And then Benny and the Ink Machine easily make that a movie. Hello Neighbor can make that into a movie and or a series. And it already is a digital series or an animated series.
I think this section, then we should go roleplay.
Yeah, restart what you were saying now.
I think it's possible for all these horror franchises to have their own movies, their own spin-offs, their own, video primes. Everything that they could have. It's just expensive. The stock market's risky. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that kind of plays into it. That's why I think them doing a Bendy movie is a good thing. But I think if everything was to follow, it'd be kind of a clout-chasing thing, and people would be less interested, and then these movies would fail more and more. So I think if it's just FNAF and Bendy realistically making movies at the point that are, games adaptations, or no, they're game adaptations into movies, they're it makes sense. If there's only two main competitors, it'd be better than all of these like horror franchises doing the same thing and just falling into clout. It would just make the market stale and dead.
Okay, fair enough. And with that final question being asked, to you viewers who are listening, what was your favorite FNAF game and why? And who was your favorite FNAF character and why? And with the question of the video being asked, sorry Dexter for stealing that, little part of the video. That has been me and my homeboy Fox. Fox, is there anything else you would like to say?
Well, if we're gonna talk about our last question for the show, might as well put my own plot and my own, talk about it into it. Favorite game is probably Sister Location. If you want reasoning, it's because it's kind of our first taste of a free roam. It's our first taste of something a lot more scarier and a lot more, like, mechanical. Remember the of Scott's older games? I forget the name of it, but it's a lot more, like, deeper, a lot more mechanical, a lot more industrial. I'm blanking. It's something Annihilation, I think. It's very good. It's where the coffee pot robot comes from in FNAF World. I'm blanking on the name, but very, very, like, hot. Like, feels like he was kind of taking inspiration from that game into Sister Location. With all the moving parts, all the repairs, Ennard, which is kind of an underdeveloped character, I feel like. I feel like he was so scary in Sister Location to be slightly used in FNAF 6 with them splitting off to just being maybe the Blob in Sister Location? Or not Sister Location, Security Breach? It's just, I wish he had more potential if they were going to bring him in for the antagonist instead of William.
Okay.
And then, character, probably Mangle. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of reason behind it, except I just think that they are extremely cool looking. They're a lot more mechanical. That's kind of why I like FNAF 5 quite a bit. It's a lot more industrial, a lot more, like, deeper in robotics. Just the whole lore behind, them is very interesting. Just their whole character just is really unique to me. It was really out there for the time. Because obviously we had the Wizards, but Mangle was really its own thing. With it being technically like 3 different robots in one. Or 2, because there's 3 legs, so, and then 2 heads. So technically 2 robots put into one. It was really something unique for its time and really scary. Especially with the bite of 83 or 87, whatever you want to classify it under. Pretty sure it's 87, because 83 would be the Fredbear bite. And so 87, the bite of 87, and her, or them, technically, because Mangle was a yes, but them swooping down from the, like, hall was so unique.
Ceiling.
Them crawling up the roof. It was just, it was super unique.
And since you gave your little part, I will say my favorite FNAF game might just have to be, I'm gonna say Pizzeria Simulator. And, or, despite Security Breach and all its bad stuff, and I mean, it's a good game. I've played it. It's 100% of it. That's dedication. It's a toss-up between Pizzeria Simulator and Security Breach. Even though they both had their bad moments, they are still very, very good. You just gotta give it credit where credit is due, because they're both visually appealing. They add more lore to the series, but also gives a little more plot holes for you to fill in. And my favorite character from any FNAF game would have to probably be Foxy, because Foxy, he's fast. I really like any character that goes fast. And the first time I seen Foxy coming down the hall and trying to close the door just in time was immaculate. Like, he is a very cool character, and I was very, very upset when I did not see him in Security Breach as a main character. Now Roxy, I get it, was a actually very good character with her, dialogue and her character development, but Foxy will always have that very, very, very special part in my heart because he was one of the pioneers that made me scared of the original Fnaf game. Now,
Well, I think that rounds off our questionnaire and theoryware.
the little podcast we have going on. Now, in the comment section, I want you all to tell us if we should continue doing FNAF podcast or podcast about anything. We can go into depth about Bindi, Baldi's Basics, Undertale, or we could continue doing FNAF, or we could do series like Fallout or Hazbin Hotel or Sonic or whatever series comes to mind. We will be doing that. If you would like to see that content, you know what to already do. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and make sure to share this with all your family and friends. And I hope everyone here has a phaserific day. No pun intended. But still, I hope everyone here has a great, great day. Peace out, everyone. As Fox said, toodaloo, and peace out, everyone.